we go. I think we're all ready to load up. Good morning, everybody. There we go. All right. Good morning. All right. Let's in here. Couple more film studies this morning, huh? Let's see. That one, not the other one. Let's see. Our little furniture setup here. There we go. Alright, let's see what we got here. That's why I need to put the horizontals in there. Almost forgot one last little thing. Happy Wednesday, right? Today's Wednesday. It's like a good day to get stuff started, right? Yeah, we used to wear better hats once upon a time. Good morning. Good morning. Everybody popping in. Happy Wednesday. Alright, probably enough detail. There we go. Good morning. Alright. Spammer over on Kick. Let's kick that spammer on Kick real quick. Alright. Taken care of. Alright. This one right here. Nice and centered. All right, let's see. Wanted. There you are. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Very quiet on this Wednesday. Good morning. Good morning. How are we doing out there? I'm guessing this is about references. I'm looking at um, film stills from movies. So this is from Shutter Island. So I've been doing a bunch of those in the morning for a while now. I've got like another couple weeks left, I think, of doing them before I think about something else. But that's what I've been doing. So, um, so that's what I'm working from here. I like to use my morning to, an hour in the morning or so to do some kind of morning study project. I've done different ones, uh, but that's what I'm doing right now. So, that's a good activity to do if you're looking for a way to study composition. Not that cinematic approaches are the only way, but so yeah, glad you like it. I think so. Assuming that's what that means. Good morning. It's a little early for that kind of enthusiasm. Not on your side of the planet. Oh, okay. Are you on the other side of the planet from me? I'm in Virginia, in the United States, so in Richmond. All right, stage one. Yeah, and people have done film studies for a long time. There's different kinds. You do full color ones, more detailed. I'm doing a 3-value notans right now. I was just kind of sketching them before, but I'm trying to focus on kind of not using outline on these. I think I've got one on there by accident, but just focusing on the light and dark shapes. So stir this up a bit in there. At 6 p.m. Okay. Yeah, see, it's 8:34. It's 8:09 right now. Unless Buenos Aires is on like a different schedule. Um, let's see. So I'll look over on Twitch. Lily, the trans gamer. Um, yeah, so yes, yeah, I usually have some kind of morning study project I'm working through out here. So I committed myself to doing 100 of these, and so I've got about, I think, 14, 12 left or something like that. I think this was 76 up above. So I usually I've got some kind of thing I'm doing first thing in the morning. Let's see what we're doing now. Figure out what I would do next. I've copied books. I think this time last year I started copying Harold Whitlatch's Science of Creature Design. I think what we're seeing is a couple of things. So I kind of think, well, first of all, I think AI, first off, there's no such thing, right? There's no such thing as AI, it doesn't exist. There is, however, large language models, diffusion models, generative models of different types. And I am 100% against using them. I think they're harmful to people. And there's studies coming out that show that. So there's a whole bunch of different areas where they're harmful, but one of the areas that's actually harmful to the people that use them. So it reduces your brain activity. Basically, it makes you stupider. It makes you less conscious of what you're doing. Um, so that's one area where it's really really harmful. So it kind of keeps you from developing your imagination and your intelligence and your abilities. Um, I don't like the fact that it's kind of a centralized system of information control. So it's taking everybody's stuff and coalescing it into one giant blob. And so those are a couple areas. There's also, of course, all the waste. I have no plans on using it or adapting. I've actually shifted away from a number of, I mostly don't use Adobe at all anymore. I've shifted over to using the Affinity Suite. They have a little bit in there where you have to turn it on. Um, there's the fact that it doesn't make any money. So people talk about it being the future, but there is no path for it to sustainably make money, period. At least not yet, that I've seen. I've been paying attention. So, for example, last year, OpenAI made their revenue last year was like $3.5 billion. Their profit was $5.5 billion in losses. So they burned $9 million to make 3.5, basically. Um, and Microsoft has said openly for themselves that they don't see a path forward for profitability with AI, at least the current types that are out there. Um, which is funny because they're pushing really hard. And their Copilot has only uh, captured, I think, 5% of the LLM or generative market, um, which isn't very much considering how much they're spending on it. And that's generally true across the board. I think I've read the only company doing generative work, the generative models that's made any profit is Midjourney, and that's somewhat dubious. It's kind of what they claim, but who knows if that's how accurate that is or what that means exactly. And they're currently being sued by Disney for copyright infringement. And so there's that. The fact that it's impossible for them to make money. On the release of ChatGPT 5, it flopped, first of all, and then Sam Altman said, yeah, maybe we're kind of in a bubble, which is kind of, yes, definitely been one for a while. He said what we need to do is spend trillions on new data centers. So, they can't make any profit, but they're like, hey, let's spend trillions more on this. So, dig the hole deeper. I'll have a good one there, Leon. But so there's those aspects of it, and of course the data centers that they're building are just insane. So I think it's OpenAI. I think it's them that's building the one out in Wyoming. It is 5 gigawatts. Now that's kind of hard to imagine. Like, what is a gigawatt? A gigawatt is basically the power usage of a city like Tokyo or London. So Tokyo is like a city of, I think, 13 million people, and they're building a data center that requires 5 Tokyo levels worth of power in Wyoming. Which, there's about, I think, 400,000 people live in Wyoming as a total population. I don't know where they're going to get that power from. But there's similar ones out there. Like I know Facebook is working on multiple 2 gigawatt and 1 gigawatt ones. Not sure what Microsoft is doing in those regards, but I know they were talking about reopening 3 Mile Island. Microsoft was for their exclusive use. I don't know if they're going to move forward with that or not. There is some evidence that some of these larger companies are kind of quietly canceling data center projects and power projects. Um, Because one of the problems these companies have is that no one wants to pay for generative models. So if you look at like Adobe, their stock has fallen through the floor over the last year. They went from around, I think, well, they've lost things. The number is supposed to be like 70% of their stock value has dropped over the last year, basically. Um, so there's all these kind of other issues that are surrounding generative models that don't get as much news. Anthropic just settled on their lawsuit with some authors, but they were facing $1 trillion in fines, and I'm not sure why the authors didn't go through with it, other than that they wanted to get something out of it, I guess, rather than just destroy the company. But um, but there's multiple lawsuits going on um, with these things as well that are worth kind of paying attention to. So yeah, I have no plans on incorporating it into what I do. I don't use it. I speak up about against it, and I think it's harmful across many different categories. So, and it's always disappointing when I see artists use it. I've spotted, I'll spot ones using it once in a while. I'm just like, hey, what's up with that? Why are you? And they'll acknowledge that, like, well, I don't like it for this reason or that reason, but it's okay for me. I had a discussion with that with an artist recently, someone whose work I followed for a long time, and they're like, well, my work was stolen, so it's okay if I use it and take the work of others. Wait to say take the work of others, because my work was stolen, it's okay for me to use it. And I'm just like, what? Like, it's okay for you you acknowledge that it's immoral and unethical, but it's okay for you to steal it. There's also the fact that these systems are wrong. So the AI systems, if you're using it for data, like it's wrong about 30% of the time, but it looks authoritative. So it'll give you citations, it will give you all these other things, and you have to kind of deconstruct everything in order to figure out what's true. So unless I learn something different or see something different, I so unless I learn something new about it that's really really helpful, it just seems like it's a system for scammers. I see a lot of marketing people pushing it online, like Gary Vee or Neil Patel, and Gary Vee's a funny one because he's like, well, I was so wrong about these these investment opportunities he had in the past, but now, like, I'm definitely not missing out on the next ones. And where did I put that brush at? There you are. But he was dead wrong about like NFTs. He was dead wrong about the metaverse. He was like, these are all going to be the future, and then none of them were at all. So, um, so those are some of the things I think, and I'd actually rather just ignore it. Like I thought it was kind of stupid from the beginning. That kind of trying to force people into using it is silly. The hype around it is ridiculous. Like if a technology is really really good, you don't have to convince people to pay for it. You don't have to trick them into buying in. So, for example, like with the iPhone, I remember when the first one came out, and it was just such an obvious kind of move forward with, you know, a useful technology that it was just undeniable. But the LLMs is just like it's just a complete dumpster fire. The like there was a study came out recently showing how it helped doctors identify heart attacks before they happen, but it was wrong 2/3 of the time, um, which is way worse than a doctor would be. And then it also makes doctors less able to do their job. So like they lose the ability to identify things. There's a study out of Poland showing kind of like cancer doctors lost significant abilities to recognize cancer in you when relying on LLMs because they just assume that it's going to be right. Like, oh, the machine will be right, even though it's wrong a lot of the time. And that's like a real problem. So, um, and then if companies were to like say build their own, like say if Disney wanted to build their own LLM to produce films or do the special effects in films and things like that, for them to do their own, it would probably cost them hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. When they need movies to make the money, and like if they had to spend that kind of money, it would take decades and decades for that initial investment to pay off. Not to mention whatever else they'd have to do in the future. Um, so, um, so yeah, there's all this like the stuff around it. It's like people tell me, well, it's the future. Well, if it's not sustainable, if you can't make any money off of it, then what's the deal? Um, the only company really making any significant profits is Nvidia, and that's because they're selling the shovels in the gold rush, right? So that's kind of the investment advice you always hear in a gold rush. Sell the shovels because um, everything else is purely speculative, but you'll have customers for shovels, and so they're the kind of the technological breakthrough that allows LLMs to exist is what happens with the GPUs. Um, and so, like right now, to buy like a brand new 5090, a 32 gigabyte brand new, what's it called, graphics card, it's like $3,000 or $3,500 or something US. Um, so yeah, so I don't use it. I do understand like the platforms I'm on do use it. Like YouTube has been doing some weird stuff with it. Of course, Instagram, they're scraping stuff for Meta. But it's like there's also just not enough data to do what they want. So they kind of believe that if they can scale up the compute, the amount of computational power it has and the data, they'll get better results. But they're finding that as they do that, they actually get worse results over time. So there's just a lot of kind of nonsense around it that I think is a problem. And people that are boosting it, that I know personally, are always completely unaware of all this stuff. They just go, well, I like it because X, Y, Z. Like some people tell me, I like it to start my research or whatever. And it's like, well, but if it's wrong, what good is it for doing research? You could just, read a book, watch a YouTube video about someone who's done the research or whatever. So, um, um, so yeah, so those are a lot of kind of my thoughts. So yeah, I don't use it. I don't like it. I speak up about it. Check my stories. I'm posting news stories about it all the time. Um, yeah, there's just, and the thing is, my thing is, I don't want to pay any attention to it, but I teach at university, and I've got art professors that want to push this on students, and I find that just to be absolutely harmful. And the students don't want it, which is the amazing part. It's like students don't even want it; like they don't want to use it. And one point I've had is like, even if it is, the proverbial future, the stuff is so stupid simple to use. Like we add nothing to their education by making them use it. Because even if they have to use it later on, it's just really easy to learn. So, you know, it doesn't make them a more capable artist by making them use it. And it's funny, the art area in my department that's most into it is the visual effects area, and that's most likely to probably impact it permanently by like if they can select an area and say I want an explosion to happen there. Like, what do they need visual effects guys for? The director say I want an explosion right there, or a building to fall down, or like what do they need them for? They don't need them for anything. I'm sure they've convinced themselves they would, but um, all right. Been about 45 minutes, so I think I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. Finished off these two for the morning, so move on to some other exciting stuff. So, for those that are interested, if you click the link in my bio on Instagram, there's a wait list for a course that we're launching tonight, and you get a big discount on it if you get on that email list. So if you think you're interested in learning the essentials of perspective, if it's something you have a hard time with and struggle with, it's a good course for that. It's what I've taught at other universities and the current one to a certain degree, and it kind of walks you through how to break things down, and you can more easily master perspective on your own. So anyway, we'll talk at y'all later.